Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of JigRetro, where we'll be looking into my absolute favourite racing games for the mighty PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 was an awesome era for racing games. From a graphical standpoint, it was much improved to the 32-bit racing titles, while still having awesome variety with arcade pick-up and play games, as well as the more serious simulation style games, which I believe that modern consoles have relied on too heavily recently. There is a fun factor here which I feel is unfortunately lost with the uber realistic and super serious simulation style games on modern generations of consoles. If you enjoy this video, then please take a moment out of your time to like, share and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell to get updates on the latest videos as they're released. Without further ado, here are my favourite racing games for the PlayStation 2 that I still have a hell of a lot of fun with today. Colin McRae Rally 3. Released in 2002 by Codemasters, this was the first Colin McRae rally game to be released for the PlayStation 2. And I remember being stunned by its superior graphics compared to the previous two games. One of the two more realistic style racing games on this list. I love this iteration of the game. It has all of the fantastic elements that the original game brought to the table, while small tweaks and cosmetic changes make it feel like you really are a driver on the World Rally Championship circuit. I appreciate this game for sticking to the source material rather than later iterations such as the Dirt series taking a more extreme sport take on rallying.
15 right and K3 left tightens your opposite side.
SSX3. Released in 2003 by EA Big. Now, although there is a lot more to this extreme sports title than just racing, it is fundamentally a racing title. The third in the over-the-top snowboarding series, SSX3 is a really fun game. I really like that once every stage is unlocked in this game, you can take on the whole mountain in one sitting without stopping or reloading.
Oh, pesky mosquitoes!
Wipeout Fusion, released in 2002. I feel that this game holds up much better than previous installments in the series and still looks fab to this day, especially when hooked up to a CRT via a SCART cable and an RGB signal. The handling and cornering just feel better in this one to me, making it a lot less frustrating in many ways. Don't get me wrong, this game still holds plenty of challenge, but due to the handling it makes it much fairer in my opinion. Somewhat of a forgotten title in this series, which I think is a real shame as I see it as one, if not the best. Shocks, released in 2002, is somewhat of a hidden gem in my opinion. Released by EA under their big series of games, which includes the likes of SSX and NBA Street. This time it's had a go at the world of rally racing. The visuals are super slick and with a huge frame rate giving it a classic arcade feel. This is a great pick up and play game that you will spend anything from 20 minutes to an hour or so with. With that said, it may be lacking a bit in depth and longevity, but that's not particularly what I'm after in games nowadays anyway. In stark contrast to this is Gran Turismo 4, released in 2005. This is a gigantic game, and the second more realistic style game on this list. And although I've only scratched the surface of this game, it is mighty impressive. This is a hardware pusher for the system, and in the right conditions, with some expensive cables and a good display, could be mistaken for games on future systems, from a graphical and technical standpoint. This really has something for everybody. Rallying, track racing, an arcade mode for less serious gamer, or a fully fleshed out rise to the top style career. A seemingly endless array of cars with all the tinkering, tuning and upgrading your heart's desires, and also some real world tracks. This is a must for serious petrol heads. These last two games can really be interchanged depending on my mood. Absolute perfection in the peak of racing game variety. These are two games that you really can't get quite the same experience on modern consoles, or any console after the PlayStation 2 in fact. Therefore these are two perfectly good reasons to still own a PlayStation 2 to this day. Burnout Revenge 2005 by Criterion Games. Now admittedly this game is capture from the Xbox 360 version because I just had to get the best HD version of this quality game. This is my favourite, but equally as good is the PlayStation 2 Burnout 3 Takedown. I think these two games were the pinnacle of the series as they both have all the innovations that make this series great. Earlier iterations are harder to go back to once you have played these, and the multiplayer is still intact, unlike Burnout Paradise. Crash mode and road rage are elements which are so much fun and accessible even to newcomers to the game. Fantastically varied, and the element of speed while boosting is a real tense rush. And even crashing feels much less frustrating with the aftertouch element, meaning that you can still take down fellow racers to maintain your position. On a side note, these games have awesome soundtracks from bands that I enjoy, but for copyright reasons obviously I can't be playing it here. Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast by Sumo Digital is a beautiful and lovingly put together game with stellar arcade Outrun 2 as its base, and another whole Outrun Coast to Coast version on the disc. Both great pick up and play experiences, and a more career driven element is also included, which involves competing in certain missions, including impressing your female passenger with car skills and racing rivals, to name a couple to add longevity. The best element of this game is the stunning drift mechanic that has been replicated a few times, but in my opinion never truly bettered. If you have somehow missed this gem, then I highly recommend you dust off the old PS2 and pick up this gem. It would have been brilliant and next level to see some sort of split screen multiplayer element and maybe a compatibility with the steering wheel, but I simply can't let anything be taken away from this absolutely class game. Thank you for stopping by and checking out this video. Please feel free to comment down below on your opinions, plus any recommendations that you have in the racing genre for the PlayStation 2. I'm sure there are loads of classics for me to tap into and add to my collection, as there is just so many racing titles for this system. Until next time, much love, please look after yourselves and each other and get your geek on with JigRetro.